In this short video, I will explore the concept of choosing habitat in terms of trade-off for wild species. To begin with, all living things need energy to grow, reproduce, and maintain their bodies. And in order to get this energy, they need access to certain resources. But the problem is that in nature, resources are in limited supply, and animals have to compete with other species to access to them. Thus, each organism has limited resources and energy that it has to divide between its potential necessary activities, such as growth, body maintenance, and maturation. It has to allocate it the best way in order to maximize its fitness and the number of offspring that it will give for the next generation. So, each organism has to deal with the trade off of life. In biology, a trade-off occurs when by using energy to one trait, it decreases the energy of another trait. It means that every benefit is associated to a cost. There are different types of trade-off. One of them is the concept of choosing habitat. Species will choose their habitat according to the energy that they want to spend and the way that they want to spend this energy. They can choose to go to a rich habitat where there are many resources, but the number of resources is linked to the number of competitors. It means that if there are resources in abundance, there will automatically be many other species in this habitat. Then they will have to compete with other individuals for the same resources, and to do so spend a lot of energy into competitiveness. So, when an organism chooses to live in a rich habitat according to the trade-off of life, this organism will have the benefit of having many resources, but here the cost is that it will have to compete with other species to obtain these resources. Other species can, on the contrary, choose to go to an habitat which is less attractive. They won't have to share the resources of this place because there will be fewer competitors but also much less resources. In this habitat, they won't spend a lot of energy to compete with other species, contrary to the previous one, but they will spend more energy to find resources because of its very limited supply. So, when an organism chooses to live in an isolated habitat according to the trade-off of life, this organism will have the benefit of having only few competitors or not having competitors at all, but here the cost is that it will have few resources. So, to illustrate the concept of habitat selection in terms of trade-off, I will show you two different examples. Lions live in the African savanna where there are many resources, but also many other species with which they must coexist. For example, they eat antelopes and gazelles, which are the same prey as cheetahs. As they live in the same geographic area, they have to compete for the same resources. To do so, lions will spend a lot of energy in competition. So here, by living in a rich habitat, lions have the benefit of having many resources, but the cost is that they will have to compete with other species to get them. Some wolves live in Alaska, which is an area with few resources. In this habitat, there are no other predators that need the same resources as wolves to survive, so they don't have to compete with other living organisms living in the same environment for the same resources, such as water and food. As they are geographically separated from the other species, they have a better chance of finding what they need. But as they are in an habitat with a very limited number of resources, they will spend a lot of energy to find them. So here, by living in an isolated area, wolves have to benefit of having few competitors or no competitors at all, but the cost is that they have few resources. To conclude, species choose their habitat according to many factors, but particularly for the competition risk and the food availability. And because every benefit is associated to a cost, they will have to choose between a rich habitat with abundant resources and many competitors, or less attractive habitat with fewer competitors and limited resources.